Well, welcome back. We have breaking news. China today accusing the United States of instigating the crisis in Ukraine, calling the U.S. the chief instigator by leading NATO since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Well, China's accusations come after Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov promoted a new world order. We're hearing that a lot lately with China. This week, he talked about that. Listen.
I am convinced following its results, the international situation will become much clearer, and together with you and with other like-minded people, we will move towards a multipolar, fair, and democratic world order.
Well, joining us now to discuss is author of The Coming Collapse of China, Gordon Chang. Thank you very much for joining me today, Gordon. Always love having you on. Well, he's not talking about a collapse. He's talking about a new world order with China leading the way.
Yes, really what he's talking about is the order where China and Russia get to do whatever they want. You know, both want to reconstitute old empires. Actually, China wants to annex the world and the near parts of the solar system. So we're talking about a lawless world, something back, let's say, the Dark Ages.
What about his latest words today, China coming out and saying that the United States is the chief instigator in what's going on between Russia and Ukraine?
We've heard this before, but what's important is that China endorses this language after the invasion of Ukraine. And really what it signals is that China is fully behind Russia. There are a lot of smart people in Washington and New York who believe, oh, you know, we can peel the Chinese away from the Russians, that this is not going to be a durable partnership. But what we are seeing is that even today, these two states are working very closely together to destabilize the world, to invade their neighbors, to basically take us from the best moment in history and perhaps to the worst.
But does it feel like to you that we keep giving China another opportunity to step away? They'll say things like they said today, but yet we'll come back and say, now you need to separate and you need to, be a little bit more harsh with Russia. But yet they don't do it.
Yeah, they don't do it. And the Biden administration, despite evidence of China's material and military support for the Russian invasion, is not sanctioning China. And that means our sanctions on Russia really have a big escape valve because Beijing is stepping up to make sure that Russia has the means to prosecute this war. This is even after the Russian effort is failing. You would normally think that Xi Jinping would want to distance himself from the failure, but no, he's actually there making sure that Russia can continue.
So why are there no secondary sanctions? Why no sanctions against China?
Because the Biden administration is just afraid of Beijing. The Biden administration wants China's help on an Iran nuclear deal. They want China's help on climate change. They actually think that climate change is the world's #1 national security issue. So, they have this misguided view of the way the world works. And until they change that view, they're going to do things that seriously undermine peace and stability around the world and America's national security interests.
Yeah, including this. Late last week, this leaked security treaty proposal between China and the Solomon Islands. It signaled that China could deploy troops to the Solomon Islands and potentially establish a naval base there. Some regional backlash, however, the Solomon Islands said that it would not allow a Chinese military base there despite its plans to sign this security pact with Beijing. Do you believe that?
I don't believe that, Heather, because China does want that base. We have known that over the course of years, China has come in and destabilized the political situation in the Solomons, giving the Solomon government, which is really unpopular, giving that government the excuse to call in China to, quote unquote, protect the nation. So right now we have China doing its best to, in the Pacific, move after these democratic governments. And, here, this is an issue of the Biden administration failing, but it's also an issue of previous administrations not paying attention to the Pacific, where tens of thousands of Americans shed blood in World War II. Now China is taking over these places without a drop of blood.
Yeah, it would be just shameful. But also your thoughts on this. I mean, this sounds like something out of a movie. but this possibility that China could use what they call doomsday trains, which could transport nuclear missiles around the country and even carry out launches which are hard to detect. Do you know anything about that?
They're talking about basing the DF-41, which has a range of 9,300 miles and which can hit any part of the U.S. They're talking about putting those on high-speed trains. But a number of analysts who follow the Chinese military basically say that China has nukes on trains which are hidden below the desert and that they can pop out. I don't know if that's true, but nonetheless, China is putting a lot of money into its nuclear forces. At the same time, the Biden administration is taking money away from modernization of our triad. This is not a good story, Heather.
Yeah, at the same time, assisting Russia in negotiating the Iran nuclear deal. A lot of talk of nuclear weapons all around the world. Yeah, scary. Gordon, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Right.